Question 3. This question is from topic matrix. Here we have the matrix A, which is a 2 by 2 order matrix, and its value is 2, 1, minus 2, 5. We need to find the inverse of A plus I matrix, where I is an identity matrix. Now, before solving this math, we need to know about identity matrix and inverse of a matrix. Let's deal with the identity matrix first. What is an identity matrix? If a matrix is multiplied by A, that is, if A times I, the resultant matrix will be A, or if I times A, the resultant matrix will also be A, then the matrix I is known as identity matrix. And a 2 by 2 order identity matrix is 1, 0, 0, 1. Now, let's erase this and start solving the math. Let matrix A plus matrix I will be 2, 1, minus 2, 5 plus 1, 0, 0, 1, which is the identity matrix. Then the resultant matrix will be 2 plus 1 is 3, then 1 plus 0 is 1, then minus 2 plus 0 is minus 2, and 5 plus 1 is 6. So, our A plus I matrix is 3, 1, minus 2, 6. Now, we need to find the inverse of matrix A plus I matrix. Let's revisit the concept of inverse of a matrix. Let we have a matrix M, which is A, B, C, D. It's a 2 by 2 order matrix. The inverse of this matrix will be 1 over A times D minus B times C. This A times D minus B times C is called the determinant of a matrix. If the determinant is non-zero, only then inverse of the matrix is possible to find. Now, moving on, we can the 1 over A times D minus B times C will be multiplied by D minus B C A, where the element of the first diagonal changes their position, that means swap their position, and the elements of the second diagonal changes their sign, that is, they are multiplied by minus 1. Now let's clear this explanation and complete this math. So the inverse of A plus I matrix will be 1 over 3 times 6 minus 2 times 1 multiplied by swapping the values of first diagonal. We can write 6 here and 3 here. And for the second diagonal, it will be minus 1, and this will be positive 2. So, now moving on, this can be written as 1 over 18 plus 2 times 6 minus 1, 2, 3. 18 plus 2 is 20. So, our inverse matrix is 1 over 20 times 6 minus 1, 2, 3. Now, the first part of this question is done. Now, let's move on to the next part of this question. Here, it says that hence or otherwise, we have to find a matrix X such that AX plus X matrix is B, where B is a 2 by 1 matrix whose value is 14, 4. This word hence indicates that we should use the result from the first part of this math, that is the inverse of A plus I matrix. Let's see how can we use that. It's given that A times X plus X is B. If we take X common, we can write A plus I times X equals to B, where I is the identity matrix. Now, to get rid of this A plus I, we need to multiply it with A plus I inverse. Because if any matrix is multiplied by its own inverse matrix, the resultant matrix will be an identity matrix. But which order we should multiply this A plus I inverse matrix? Let's decide. If this A plus I inverse is a 2 by 2 matrix, B is 2 by 1 matrix. So A plus I inverse times B is possible, but B times A plus I inverse is not possible. Now let's erase this and multiply the inverse matrix. So we can write A plus I inverse times A plus I times X is equal to A plus I inverse times B. As I told earlier that the product of a matrix and its inverse will be the identity matrix, so A plus I inverse times A plus I is I, which is multiplied by X, and on the right hand side of this equation, let's put the values. So we can write 1 over 20 times 6 minus 1, 2, 3 multiplied by 14, 4. So in the next line, I times X is X, and on the right hand side it will be 1 over 20. Then first row of the first matrix, that is 6 minus 1, will be multiplied by, or will be multiplied with the column of the second matrix, that is 14, 4. So we can write 6 times 14 plus minus 1 times 4. Now the second row of the first matrix, that is 2, 3, will be multiplied by 14, 4. So in the second row of this resultant matrix, it will be 2 times 14 plus 3 times 4. Now if we do the simple arithmetic calculation, we can write 1 over 20 times 80, 40. Now let's take 20 common. So we can write 20 over 20 times 4, 2. 20 divided by 20 is 1. So finally we get our matrix X, which is 4, 2. Now question 3 is done, and let's move on to the next question.